Volkswagen Atlas, which I'm calling the At-Last, because it's great that Volkswagen finally has a Tahoe competitor in its lineup. Let's see how it performs. It's a family race car. Hey guys, what's up? This is Tom Burkhardt from Car-Revs Daily. Going out for a drive review in the 2018 Volkswagen Atlas. So really pumped to do this review because I've got a couple good viewpoints to share. Most notably because I just got out of a Q7, the 2015 Q7, so the previous generation TDI that I was driving for a couple days there of a family member. And so I'm primed to compare this new full-size VW Atlas to that TDI and have some great news to report versus the Audi Q7, which of course is much more expensive and is smaller for that last generation. This new Atlas is absolutely huge. So I know that you've read about Atlas probably like I have, and you think like, okay, so it's big, right? But it's not actually like Tahoe big, or you know, this is just like sort of big for European standards. No, this car is absolutely enormous. It's really gigantic, and actually it's only an inch shorter than the 2017 and only 4 inches shorter than the Chevrolet Tahoe, about 3 inches lower than the Tahoe, but 1 inch taller than the Q7. So with the same width, so very similar dimensions. The wheelbase is within half an inch of each other for the 2018 Atlas and 2018 Q7. So they're very much family members here. Obviously, it's not like a full platform share, but they are very. And for my eyes, when I look at this car, all I can see is Q7 and Bentley Bentayga, because this Atlas is so gigantic and has really next generation Volkswagen design language that is very premium and blocky and angular and masculine. It looks really cool. So, full-size SUV segment in the mainstream market. This is one of the last holdouts of market segments that have not been conquered by the German luxury car brands. Really, this along with pickup trucks, the full-size SUV segment has stood proud as one of the last sort of legacy strong points of the American car business, and also, of course, the Asian imports have done very well with cars like the Highlander and Pilot, competing head-to-head with Explorer and Durango and Tahoe themselves. So Volkswagen Atlas comes in and goes right to the top of its class. This car is terrific. So the big things you need to know is that it's priced for about $30,000. It's a standard 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making 235 horsepower, I believe. So same as the Q7 for 2018, they both have standard turbo 4 engines. And then if you decide, but the Q7 has standard quattro, whereas this Atlas comes in front-wheel drive for the base 2-liter turbo 4, or front-wheel drive for the VR6 V6 upgrade, or the car we're in now, which is the V6 with 4Motion. So that's all-wheel drive, like a full-time all-wheel drive system with active dynamic modes and terrain setting. So this V6 is the 3.6 liter, the VR6, the classic Volkswagen engine, and is great. Makes 276 horsepower and is very smooth and fairly efficient. So it'll do like 25 on the highway for the front drive cars and 23 on the highway for the all-wheel drive, but still very good. And then of course can tow up to 2,000 pounds in the base 4-cylinder model. We can now tow 5,000 pounds with either of the V6 Volkswagen Atlases. So really just like, I mean, to the top of the class. I can't say that enough. So really Atlas comes in, and I really thought it was going to be like Highlander size. No, it's actually like way bigger than Pilot, way bigger than Explorer, and really rivals the Tahoe in interior dimensions all around. It even beats the Q7 on storage space for the behind the third row seat, where you've got 20 cubic feet in this Atlas versus like 15 cubic feet or so in the Q7, and really just does well for all of its measurements. I think it absolutely feels much bigger than the 2015 Q7, which of course it is. Inside, I mean, it feels much wider. The back seat is in a totally different league for this Atlas versus that Q7 in terms of the lowness of the floor and overall like hip width and headroom and shoulder room is absolutely tremendous. This Atlas is a rock star in terms of size and capability. So it seats 7 people, and with this SEL premium package with the V6 and 4Motion, you can go with captain's chairs for the second row, but this car just has a proper bench that of course tilts and allows access, and also reclines and has like a big armrest and like a whole charging center and tri-mode climate control, lots of other stuff. So here's the rub with there are three different drivetrain layouts you can get. From about $30,500 is that Turbo 4. If you add $1,000 to that, you can get the V6. So the V6 is available in this Atlas from about $32,000 or $33,000, and that's really affordable. I mean, that's like $4,000 cheaper than most of the cheapest Highlanders out there with the V6. Highlander, of course, also comes standard with a turbo, or excuse me, with a 4-cylinder, but not a turbo. But very few people get it. Almost everybody has the V6. But the point is that this Atlas actually has tremendous value in its corner. In addition to being absolutely huge, super capable, and maintaining the European drive standards and assembly quality and high-speed composure. In addition to all that, like, it's actually really great value. So this super loaded example, where they get you with most of the options, comes in at $49,500. So that's a lot less than the most loaded Highlander, which is at $556, the limited platinum package, and the big moonroof like we have on here, all the active safety controls, and the latest nav and infotainment system. So like this Atlas is actually like, and it's almost the same pricing, almost exactly, between Highlander and Pilot. So this Atlas actually comes in, and spec for spec is about $3,000, $3,000 to $4,000 cheaper than those key rivals. That also includes Explorer, which tops out above $50,000 as well. So Atlas is like at the top of my class, at the top of the class in my book, because of how well it maintains sort of the Volkswagen brand drive traits. I mean, so what does that mean? So this is one of the last segments, like we said, to have the invasion of the Germans and their exceptional vehicles. And what Volkswagen has done with this machine is really imbue a lot of that, a lot of the Volkswagen handling and high-speed composure and overall capability of its drivetrain into this absolutely enormous package. And what they've made a couple tweaks in order to make it truly American friendly. You know, this car is designed and built here in Tennessee, so it's obviously like this is a core market for the vehicle, and one that was studied extensively to create it. So they've made some tweaks to the general Volkswagen ethos. So that includes like a softer ride, a little bit more generous like insulation levels than I remember in some previous Volkswagens, and really just like a really impressive level of chassis composure and drivetrain manners. So very impressive. This is one of the first times that you've ever been able to get really what is like effectively a Q7, you know, cousin, if not a sibling, from about $30,000, which is awesome. So the Q7 itself with the Turbo 4 starts from about 50 and goes up to like, you know, 88 or something crazy. So this Volkswagen presents the first time that buyers in the family 3-row 7-seat full-size SUV segment have had a Volkswagen to choose from, and it's a really good one. So out on this handling mode, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've had my foot on the floor for a while here. I've got the Drive in S and the Drive modes in Sport. So that's nice. And then I've got like the yaw and other sensor displays here in the touchscreen. And then I have one of the big upgrades for the SEL Premium Atlas is the integration of the virtual cockpit. So all of this is configurable. So right now I've got it configured to show just my digital speedometer and some other data as well. And then in the center, I've got the actual Nab display right there. So I can have Nav over here, or I can have it back here. This is also pretty cool. It senses when your hand is coming up to the controls, and it shows new buttons. So this transmission is an 8-speed automatic, so it's definitely class competitive, and certainly capable, but it is not one of my favorite aspects of the Atlas. Unlike the Q7 and which itself is a stretch Touareg or KN, we do not have a German-made transmission here. We have an 8-speed automatic from Aisin, the big Japanese tier 1 supplier, which is really normal and feels exceptionally familiar to people who have driven Toyotas or Hondas, or really any premium Japanese big V6 has probably driven this transmission. And the reason Volkswagen includes this is because it's so friendly for families, and it's a lot cheaper by a huge margin. So that lets sort of like decisions like that, like using the Aisin 8-speed instead of like a CF or an in-house Volkswagen Tiptronic unit or DSG for that matter, really just saves a lot of money. Because if Volkswagen had come into the market like they did with Touareg with a $50,000 to $70,000 car, they would find that volumes would be very, very low. Whereas with this Atlas, we're really aiming to fill up the production slots next to Passat, and really to make sure that that Volkswagen gets a great return on their big, $5 billion investment in the Tennessee factory. So this is really a value-focused play in a lot of ways, but it really doesn't feel like it on the road. As you can see, driving very, very enthusiastically, I'm really pleasantly surprised by the Atlas, especially because it does ride so smoothly. We do have a couple things in our favor here. We've got, with this SEL Premium, we have the biggest 20-inch wheel package, and a lot of that maintained Euro quality for every little detail, down to like the tires. So it has like really good Continental tires, for example, and on 20-inch rims with Continentals, I mean, obviously you can hustle this Atlas very, very nicely. Not that this is definitely the way that owners will drive it, but it is good to know that it has these capabilities for when you have 6 people behind you and a trailer behind that, and it's raining and or snowing and you're coming down a mountain, or going up a mountain, for example. You really want to know that this car has a tremendous capability, and it absolutely does. I'm so impressed. I really enjoy driving this VW Atlas, and I know that owners are going to absolutely love it if they'd only consider it. So you have to sort of be able to get over Volkswagen's recent troubles, and really just remember the core appeal of this brand as sort of an intellectual's delight that is economical but offers really European levels of performance and drive manners, which it certainly does. I'm very, very pleased. I know people are going to love Atlas if they try it out, and of course it's part of Volkswagen's big SUV push, along with the new Tiguan for the 2018 model year, which itself grows in leaps and bounds for this generation. So much so that they've kept the previous Tiguan available for sale in 2018, just as like an economy version of a compact crossover, because that new Tiguan is so much bigger. But this Atlas, of course, goes absolutely jumbo and really is so much better for it. It doesn't, it doesn't surprise me that this Volkswagen is good, because they're all good. But I am very, very just excited at what they've been able to achieve, even without searing sprint performance. For example, we're at about like 7.8 to about 8 seconds sprint to 60 miles an hour in this Atlas with its 276 horsepower, which is definitely right up there with its rivals in the class, and really only trails the Tahoe and Expedition and those V8 truck-based SUVs in terms of towing capacity. So that 5,000 pound limit out back from this Atlas is down like 2,000 or 3,000 pounds versus some Tahoes and Expeditions. But of course, the trade-offs, even if on paper they get about the same miles per gallon, Tahoe also gets 1723, which is what this Atlas 4Motion does. You could really, I mean, with driving like I'm driving right now in a Tahoe, I would be getting like 4 miles to the gallon. Whereas this VW is still keeping it in the teens and very, very close to 20 miles per gallon. Really impressive. So, just fantastic news all around. And then you have Volkswagen's latest infotainment suite, which is a delight. Takes a little bit of time to get used to, but all this stuff is very, very easy and swipeable and simple to operate. So for example, I've got like my satellite radio here, and then I've also got CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, and really just a comprehensive media suite with phone integration and future-proofing the car in that way with Apple CarPlay is really nice. And then these virtual gauges are also something that is a VW exclusive versus its mainstream rivals. Of course, it's not quite as impressive as the Google Earth-based navigation in some of the Audis with the MMI and virtual cockpit. But then again, this doesn't have a monthly charge. It's just free, and it puts that nav right where you can see it, and reconfigures the displays as many different ways as you could ever dream. So Atlas is a real treat. I think if I had for recommending this to family and friends, the Atlas is going to the top of my list. Even with this ZF automatic, which is a little bit, or excuse me, even with this Eisen automatic, which is definitely a weak point, it's still tremendous. And I think people getting out of the Q7 will find that it has very similar levels of refinement. It rides a little bit smoother than that 15 Q7 I was driving around. Feels bigger and has a much better back seat and third row. I mean, how can you can't really argue with that. It's all really, really good stuff. Atlas is going to do great in the market, and you should absolutely put it to the top of your list if you're considering Explorer or any other 3-row SUV. So in closing, there's one final little bit to juice sales of Volkswagen's models in the United States for the next couple of years, is that the warranty program for bumper-to-bumper warranty has gone from, I don't know, whatever it was, 3 years, 36,000 miles to 5 years, 72,000 miles. That's for like the bumper-to-bumper comprehensive. And then powertrain is like 7 years, 100,000 miles. So that's like some of the best warranty coverage in the industry. It even beats the standard warranty from Hyundai, which of course they have dined out on quite heavily in the last 10 years since they launched that super warranty program. So Volkswagen is standing behind this car, and once you drive it, you'll stand behind it too. I mean, it's absolutely gigantic, but doesn't have any of the big woes that come with a full-size SUV. Like, you know, really brittle ride, floppy chassis structure, and poor overall dynamics around corners. This Atlas really does, you know, it's great in twisty roads. The chassis feels extremely rigid, even if some of the interior, you know, even if this stuff, you know, isn't quite Audi-like, it definitely feels rigid, insulated, premium, and supremely well engineered. So check out the 2018 VW Atlas, and if you're willing to skip some of these big electronic goodies, you can get this car, one of the biggest vehicles Volkswagen as a brand has ever produced, and certainly the biggest that's ever been imported to the United States. You can get this from about $34,000. At which point, this is just tremendous value and makes for a really smart option for family hauling year-round. All right, we'll see you guys next time. This is Tom Burkhardt from Car-Revs Daily in the 2018 Volkswagen Atlas.